Hello and welcome to a very special program. Now you would have heard the phrase that protein is part of the building blocks of our body. In fact, that's true because if you look at it, protein is available in trillions of cells across the human body, and it has an enormous role in regenerating the body, in growing the body. From our hair to our skin to our muscles to our bones, it's all there, it's all critical. But we thought it's important to talk about an aspect of protein which we don't discuss: protein deficiency in your diet. Do we talk about it enough? Do we talk about your protein intake? And let's be honest, we don't. Which is why we thought we'd start a campaign talking about the importance of protein. And we've got a wonderful partner with us. Himanshu Bakshi is the Managing Director of Danone India. He's going to be telling us a little bit why protein is critical in our lives. Himanshu, thanks very much for having me across at your office. It's a colorful office, and I look forward to this conversation on protein. I think it's so important.
Likewise.
Superb. Shall we have a look? Yeah. So, the focus of yours and this company of Danone has been on proteins, and why? And it's always also been about the positive well-being of individuals.
True.
So let's talk about both the positive well-being of individuals, that's being a key part of your corporate ethos, and proteins. Why?
Yes. So if you really look at Danone, our mission is all about health through food to as many people as possible. Now, when you talk about as many people as possible, if you don't do it for 1.4 billion people on this earth, it doesn't really become true. And in terms of food as well, it's both about the quality of the food, which is the right quality, and also the right quantity. And by quantity, I mean the right micro and macronutrients that we have every day in our diet. A very interesting survey happened a few years back, on Indian diets, which showed that more than 70% of Indian diets are protein deficient. Now that's a big number, because protein is the building block for us as individuals, and this kind of deficiency is not good for Indians. And that is when we decided we need to really make it a big platform for us, a campaign for us, where we start talking about the need of protein. First of all, educate people on the importance of protein, and then how protein is important for each individual. And over the years, we've been able to do that. And still, it's a very nascent, stage of the journey. A lot needs to be done, but protein is where our focus is going to be even in the future.
Tell us a little bit about the campaign and the effort to educate people about protein deficiency. It's something that Danone has done for several years.
Yes.
You alluded to that. How did that journey in terms of the campaign start? Where are you right now?
So the brand's been there. It's a legacy brand if you really look at it. We know Protein X for the last 60 years. But the real essence of the campaign actually started in 2017, which started with a protein week. So we used to celebrate this 1 week where we used to talk more about protein, get key stakeholders on the same platform. And over the years, we realized, why should we celebrate protein only for a week? It's an everyday need. So now it's really moved on into a campaign, which is the Protein Abhiyan, which is a nationwide campaign that we do every year. And if you really look at the reach numbers that we've had, last year we reached over 20 million Indians with the message of protein. This year again, the attempt is to reach a much larger audience, with this campaign, and really make sure that at the end of the day, if we can do a little bit to sensitize Indians on the need of protein, it can lead to a much better and a healthier nation for the future.
But here's a basic question. We do consume proteins in our daily diet.
True.
So then why do we have this sort of protein deficiency?
Indian diets are very diverse, and that's the beauty of the country if you really see. And in fact, you're right. Every portion that we have during the day has some part of protein, in it. However, if you really look at the need of protein, it ranges from 0.8 grams per kg upwards for every healthy individual per kg, which means for an individual close to 65 to 70 kg, they need to, really have around 56 to 60 grams of protein every day. Now, our current food habits don't allow us that kind of protein. You'll really have to try hard to reach that level. And that is where the gap exists today. So most of the Indian diets today are good, but not enough in terms of reaching the target that we need for protein consumption.
There are also lots of myths around protein consumption in India.
True.
I mean, would you like to tell us a few of those myths and, you know, I mean, how they've existed and how they're wrong?
In fact, protein is one of the most misunderstood macronutrients, if we can talk about it. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is what I already spoke about, which is our daily diets are good enough. I think more and more people that we see and meet always feel, you know, I'm having curd, I'm having dal, maybe some portion of chicken. I think that's enough for my protein needs. But the fact is, 73% of diets are still protein deficient. So that's the first myth, or the most common myth that we keep seeing. The other one that we also hear a lot about is protein is for bodybuilders. And you know, this huge thing on bodybuilding, muscle building is related to protein in a big way. But the fact again is, protein is not only for bodybuilders. It's for you, it's for me, it's for everyone around. And that's a need that everybody has today. The other one is also about protein leading to weight gain. You know, a lot of people on our consumer line come and call us and say, you know, what will happen? Will I gain too much weight with it? The fact again is, it's the other way around. With the right protein, it's better for weight management. So again, the attempt, you know, from our side is to bust these myths so that people take a much more informed decision about the dietary choices that they want to make in the future. But yes, still a long way to go.
You have a consumer line.
Yes.
You just mentioned.
Yes.
What are typically some of the questions that you get?
Mostly it's about information on protein. How do I need to have it? How much do I need to take?
And who calls typically? Anybody or?
It's any consumer can call up. So we've got numbers listed on our packs. You can just call up, or they come through our website. But again, most questions are on usage, how to use it. Different cohorts have been calling us. So, you know, we've had calls coming from pregnant women. We have calls coming in from diabetics, because everybody wants to understand more the role of protein. And that's again where our role comes in. You know, as leaders in this category, it's important to educate people, to let them know what's the right quantity of protein that they need, and really, you know, be partners in that health journey that they want to have.
You know, protein deficiency is also geographic. It's locational.
True.
It's linked sometimes to poverty, for example, in certain areas. So therefore, when you market protein and your products, and you want to talk about the importance of protein, do you actually go to specific areas?
We do. So again, as I told you, Proteinx is a legacy brand in the country. It's been 70 years. So in terms of the brand recognition, it's never been a problem.
Right.
But today we've got a large, you know, sales force that we have today. We've got active participation, you know, from many of the stakeholders, you know, in the industry, which help us take this message across. Today, in terms of reach, we reach more than 300,000 stores across the country. If you really look at the number of people that we have in-house, close to 800 odd people in, you know, in the market going and talking about this. So we have been able to a large extent, you know, give this message around protein adequacy that's needed in the diet.
And in terms of, you know, consuming your products, what are the different ways? I ask this because we know about Proteinx, but you're looking to diversify your product chain and your product line as well.
True. So, you know, Proteinx as a brand was limited to very, you know, limited number of flavors in the past. You know, now we've got a lot more, you know, things in the repertoire if you really look at it. So, you know, basis consumer insights, and absolutely like what you said, regional preferences. We've got new flavors, you know, which are much more tuned to India. So while we are still a global company, we are very local when it comes to insights and understanding consumers. So we call it Glocal, which is really imbibing the global, you know, strategies that we have, but really tailor make our products, you know, for consumers. We are 100% make in India. So everything that we produce in the market is from India, with the India sourcing that we have today. And we have kept in mind all the regional preferences. So, you know, flavors like vanilla, we've also had some in and out flavors in the past, which are very much tuned to certain markets. For example, you go to South and East, you'll find more, you know, affinity towards vanilla as a flavor versus chocolate. You go to North, it's more chocolate, you know, that we see as a preference. So we need to keep that in mind, you know, and that's.
And you're also nutrition lead for Southeast Asia.
That's right.
Just on the point of flavors and interest and tastes.
Yes.
Do you find a difference between what people in India want and say what people in Southeast Asia want?
You're absolutely bang on that. When we launched, you know, Proteinx in Thailand, and this was just a year back, we launched mango as a flavor, because again, that's one flavor that was very suited to that kind of a population. So again, while the brand is there, we will go deep into consumer insights, consumer understanding, preferences, localization, to understand what really works for the consumer and then give them that option.
What about the importance of protein consumption for school children?
Yes.
This is important. We do have a midday meal scheme in schools right now.
Yes.
But in terms of as a supplement or a potential supplement,
Yes.
Is Protein-X or any of your products
Yes.
worth suggesting as an alternative? Not
Of
an
course.
alternative, but as a supplement.
So, the good part is kids are having more protein
Right.
today. And I think parents have become a lot more conscious about what they want to give to their kids. As I said, protein is for everyone, and it's always good to have that as a part of the diet. The deficiency that we see today, of course, is much more in adults. So again, we have a separate formulation for kids, called Aptagrow in the entire formulation that we have, but that's tailor-made for kids.
Right.
Protein-X in its current avatar is more suited for adults and that age group.
Right. Now, the legacy of your company, and I ask you this because we're approaching this wall, which is interesting.
Yes.
And, it started in 1919 and goes
Yeah.
all the way here, and somewhere India comes into the picture as well.
Yes.
And I think that's interesting because you're not a new company by any means. You're a very
True.
old company.
Yes.
But always committed to, good health. Essentially, that's what it's all about. Could you tell us a little bit about your India journey?
Yes. I mean, it's more than 100 years old.
Right.
And it is rooted in health. You're absolutely right, because yogurt at that point in time was sold in pharmacies for gut health.
Oh, I see.
And it was not an indulgence product at that time. And that is when this whole interest on this part of the portfolio came in. And today, if you look at Danone, we are all about health. So we do have a dairy portfolio, we have a waters portfolio globally, and we have a huge nutrition, portfolio that we focus on. In India, we launched operations in 2012. So we had taken over the nutrition portfolio from Wokhart, and that was an acquisition. And since then, over the last 10 years, we've really invested big in terms of, healthier products. Over the years, our vision has evolved as well. We call it one planet, one health. So what we say is we cannot stop at the health of individuals. So for the health of the individuals, the health of the planet is equally important. So a lot of work that we do today, includes thinking about the planet. So we do a lot about water conservation, we do a lot about sustainable farming practices, because at the end of the day, it's a cycle. You will only get healthy products if the planet's healthy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll not be able to produce healthy products.
Right.
And that's the vision and mission, that guides us as an organization overall. India particularly, as I said, we only have a nutrition business right now. So we have infant formulas, we have Protein-X as the key, brand that we have for all individuals. We have our own manufacturing setup in India. And the plan, of course, going ahead also is to keep investing in India and more importantly, take this whole pledge of health in the future.
The Protein-X Abhiyan. Tell us a little bit more about that, on how it's a sustained goal for you and an agenda, and your real vision about where you see this going.
I think it again stems from our mission as a company. It's about health through food to as many people as possible, and protein is the most important macronutrient. Unfortunately, it's deficient today in our diets. And that is where we started this campaign, 5 years back. It's taken a shape of a Abhiyan only last year. COVID, we took a break for a couple of years, but we've come back again with the campaign last year, reaching more than 20 million people. And this is just the beginning. We use a lot of platforms to take this message across. We do TV, we do digital, we go to HCPs, with the message of protein. What we also do to aid consumers is have a protein calculator on site. It's a nutrient calculator that we have on site. So anyone can just go in, key in their daily diet, and it will tell you your nutrients.
And this is on our
Protein-X website. You can go there, you can really calculate what's missing in your diet today, including all the nutrients. And whatever we've seen so far, for the people who've been keying in, there is a lot of deficiencies there. So it's one way or a tool to help people assess where they are. The other is we're also starting a pledge where we ask people to pledge that they will have enough protein and they will advocate protein. So we've had more than 150,000 people take that pledge already. And we're also trying to make it a little more social, so that for every 1,000 pledges that we get, we're going to donate some nutrition packs to the ASHA workers. So that's a larger, goal that we have for the future. So it's only going to go up. The scale's increasing year on year. And I hope, we end up finally in a place where India becomes more protein sufficient.
And in terms of the geographical spread of the campaign itself, it's all over the country now?
All over the country, all states, because protein is for everyone.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And what is the future of health foods in India? I mean, it's just a broader question. And where do you see yourself as part of that journey?
It's a very interesting question. And I think the landscape's been evolving over the last few years. And especially after COVID, health was taken for granted, especially in adults. We used to focus big time on the health of the kids while they were growing up, and we used to neglect ourselves. I think COVID gave us a clear message that health is extremely important. And I do see a lot of change in people. You see a lot more people exercising now, a lot more people conscious about what they're eating, and more demanding. They are much more aware of the nutrients now. They are very well informed.
And they have choices.
And they have a lot of choices, so, and with the social media, they are also getting a lot of inputs in terms of what to have and what not to have. But this also, in a way, poses a challenge to food companies, because we have to live up to those expectations.
Right.
And for us, that's something that we've taken as our commitment. We will live up to those expectations. We will make sure that, all the products that we are giving as an organization are fully compliant and best in terms of quality. And the overall category, as you said, it's only good news for the future, because I think the need of health will only go up. And I see a very bright future, and I really see a healthier India, coming up in the future. Absolutely.
That's so important. But I'm fascinated by your office. I'm fascinated by all of the professionals that you have working over here. And so typically, what would they be looking after? Marketing and sales, I understand, but you've got nutrition leads, people like you. I mean, you head obviously nutrition, but you've got people looking at the health aspect of it directly. So tell us a little bit about Danone India. And
so it's like we have all the functions. It's end to end. So right from sourcing, where we source milk, to create our formulations, to core functions like sales, marketing, legal, and we've got a health team which works specifically, in terms of getting us the best information and knowledge on the topics that we cover, and also help us in terms of the pipeline of the future, because it's not only about today, it's about what's going to come in the next 3 to 4 years.
Right.
So that's one team that's dedicated completely to health, to science, to all the new formulations that are coming in addition to, of course, all the other functions like HR, finance, marketing, and legal.
And how big are you now presently as a company in India?
So, we are growing high double digit. Of course, we are not listed, so we will not be sharing the numbers, but we are growing double digit year on year. We are the leaders in protein in the market with the highest market share. And we continue to do that year on year. So it's been a great journey, if I really look at it over the last few years, in terms of growth, in terms of the way the organization is moving.
Wonderful speaking to you. Thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you so much. It was a pleasure hosting you.
Lovely. So there you have it, a conversation and a frank one at the importance of ultimately our health, our well-being, and certainly through the prism of protein. It is part of an abhiyan, it's part of a campaign. Protein is essential in our diets across the country, all age groups. There are myths, we need to dispel the myths, and we need to try and work to ensure that our health is sustained through proper consumption of protein. That's been the real learning experience for me and perhaps for our viewers as well.